Good day, everybody. It's April, springtime in Virginia, 2017. I just left the gym and doing my morning personal training sessions. I'm gonna put my hat on. The sun's pretty bright. I don't want to be squinting the whole time doing this video for you all. But I've been in the fitness industry for quite some time now, coaching various sports, and as a personal trainer, sales, management, gym ownership, and I've always noticed something, when I go out to eat, that it's customary to tip your server. And one day I had some pretty poor service, and the food was bad too. Well, I can't say bad; it was nourishing. I thank God for that. But it wasn't tasty. The temperatures weren't correct and things like that. So of course, when you get service like that, you tend to feel a little more apprehensive about shelling out extra money for it. And so things went that way, and we got the ticket. And on the ticket, the tip was a gratuity that had already been added to our bill. So it was kind of like, you're gonna pay this whether you like it or not, because it's actually added into your total pre-added. I didn't like that. But moving on, today, I'm leaving the gym, just finished coaching a personal training session, and not saying that I want to be tipped for that, but I didn't receive a tip for that. And once again, not saying I want to be tipped for that, but there's a different point I'm making here. So hats off to my client. She's an amazing person and puts in a lot of work. So I'm not looking for her to tip me or anything like that. So no disrespect intended, but my point here is this. Right after that, I had an appointment, which I'm going to next. Had a little bit of time in between, hadn't eaten yet, so I decided to get a plate of food from pretty good mom and pop restaurant out here in the area. And service was great, the food is great, so I have no beef. But when the bill came, there was a tip scale: 15%, 18%, 20%. Now when I was coming up, and I started understanding money and tips and things like that, and when I worked as a server, it was standard customary to give 10%. And I think that was regardless of the service level. It was 10% is what a tip was. And if you didn't get 10%, you were a jerk. And I always thought that was weird, because in church, God, the Almighty, only asked for 10%, and a waitress or waiter gets the same thing God gets. So they should be pretty amazing if we're gonna give them the same thing we give God. But anyway, that was some funny stuff I used to think about and tell jokes about and get conversations started. So use it if you want. It's a good conversation starter. But be careful how you use it. You could get yourself into a pretty heated debate, which I'm trying to avoid here, because I want to make this clear. I don't have a beef with giving a server a tip. All right, it's not that. What I'm saying is that service is service. How come only waiters and waitresses get tips for their service, and we have numerous, probably countless service industries, and they don't get tips? I don't get tips as a personal trainer, and I think my service is something that provides a whole lot more than a waiter or a waitress. Now, keep in mind, I was a waiter at one point, so it's not me against them. I was once one of them, okay? So I understand that industry. But what I'm saying is, for what they do, they get an extra payment. And personal trainer, we lose sleep over our clients. We're thinking about your well-being all day long. I'm losing sleep thinking about what to do with my clients the next day or the next week, or if they're achieving enough. We listen to your personal problems. I mean, the list goes on and on with what the commitment is to our service level, and we don't get anything extra for that. So what I'm saying here is, I just want some comments. Maybe somebody can give me some background, some feedback, maybe a little history on how this works and how it got started and why it exists. Why is it that some service industries have a mandatory standard to give extra money on top of your fees to certain service industry workers and not to others? Matter of fact, the only ones I can think of And feel free to go in the comments and add more. Is hairdressers, barbers, and waiters and waitresses. Maybe the people do pedicures. I'm not sure how that works. They're nail artists. I guess they get tips too. So maybe massage therapists, do they get them? But I just want some feedback. If that's so, then how come some do and some don't? And maybe we should make it a standard across the board in the service industry. If you give great service, everybody in the service industry should deserve a tip. And one more thing. When did this 15, 18, and 20 become the new standard? At one point it was 10%, like I said earlier. So now it's 15, 18, and 20. You get a choice at least, but now if you're giving 15%, which is still 5% higher than the 10% that it was, so now if you pay 15%, you a jerk. 18% is, you are maybe a decent person. 20% gets you, okay, this is a pretty decent person, he followed the rules, which is double of what the tip used to be, which is still double what God asked for in church. Yeah, you need to be pretty amazing if you're getting paid double what God gets paid. That's all I got, y'all. Give me some comments, some feedback, some history, drop some knowledge. Once again, this is not a beef against giving tips or anything like that, but service industries, want a little bit of history on how this started and why it exists and why it only applies to certain groups and not all. Peace.